got this.
What's up, dude?
What up?
Hey, welcome.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Wow, dude, thanks everyone for coming. I definitely didn't know this many people would show up, so it really means a lot. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come through and learn a little bit about building a brand with meaning. I wanted to put together this class to kind of set a solid foundation for what we do when we start. This class isn't going to be, it's not going to provide any technicalities, it's not going to provide how to make cool effects or how to print or produce physical products. It's going to be where your mind needs to be before you start. Because I feel like before you can start a brand, you have to know who you are, you have to have the right mindset, and then when you move forward, you're able to express yourself for the world. So, let us start. Building a brand with meaning. This is going to be a 4-week design class. For this first class, I wanted to go over setting the right foundation. Today we're going to go over who I am. We're going to go over goals of the course. We're going to go over the importance of having a solid foundation before you start your brand. We're going to talk about the difference of an amateur versus a professional. We're going to talk about aligning the mind and having a strong force field. And we're going to talk about what is my why. Why am I doing what I do? Why am I here? Next week we're going to talk about elements of a brand, creating synergy. The week after that it's going to be called beginning construction. We're going to talk about how to start. We're going to talk about the things you need to do to implement your brand, and it's going to go over more of the technical stuff. And then on the last week we're going to talk about time to fly. We're going to talk about your business model. We're going to talk about when to switch over from your day job, how to start charging money, how to invoice people, all the small mechanics. And then we're going to talk about what's important to keep your brand surviving over a long period of time, what you have to do, serving others, what you got to do to get ahead, and then how you just enjoy the ride, loving the roller coaster. So when I was 14 years old, this was when I first was introduced to graphic design by my freshman teacher, Mr. Scotchko. On the first day of class, he started the class off by showing a comic right here from Calvin and Hobbes. So I thought for my first design class, I would start off by showing a comic from Calvin and Hobbes. Basically, it goes like this. Calvin's talking to his buddy, and he goes, "If you could wish for anything, what would it be?" And Hobbes replies, he goes, "A big sunny field to be in." And he goes, "Dude, a stupid field? You've got that now. Think big riches, power. Pretend you could have anything." And he goes, "Actually, it's kind of hard to argue with someone who looks so happy." Who's Nate Khouli? I just told you I was introduced to graphic design when I was 14 years old by Mr. Scotchko. I think it's crucial that you have someone, a teacher, that can influence you the right way, because it will carve, from that moment forward, it will kind of shape your perspective of everything later on in your career. So it's important that you have a teacher or an influencer or a mentor that shares the right information with you. I dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old. My uncle had a payrolling company, and in his payrolling company he had a lot of small projects. So he brought me on as a high school dropout so I can do graphic design and web design for smaller projects, and that's kind of where I started to get experience at a young age. Later he fired me because I wasn't taking it too seriously. I was just a young 16-year-old kid. So I had to go get a job. I got a job at Starbucks. Shortly after I got hired at Starbucks, I got fired because I love giving away product for free. Literally, as much as I could, I just give all my friends free stuff. They fired me. After that, I got my first retail job in clothing, and it was working at Banana Republic. Soon after I got hired there, I got fired there for giving away free clothing all the time. Apparently they don't like it when you give away all this stuff for free. When I was 18 years old, my other uncle had a rental car business, so he hired me to wash cars. I eventually worked my way up to renting the cars, doing sales, running the whole business, and I don't think I got fired from there because it's really hard to give away cars for free. So it kind of worked out. Anyways, fast forward a little bit, I started Damascus Apparel, I started DMCS Web, and now I started Neophoric. In 3 years, each business, I built the first business in 3 years to 7 figures, the second business in 3 years to 7 figures, and now Neophoric in our third year, we've passed 7 figures in gross sales. In our 3 years our first 3 years in Neophoric, we've given over $50,000 in donations, and we've donated over 10,000 shirts to people that need clothing. And that's not including all the other stuff we've done for wintertime hoodies, beanies, warm stuff to the homeless. And now I can give away as much product as I want for free. I won't get fired. So what's the goals of this course? All I want to do is provide valuable information for you guys to help you avoid mistakes. All the mistakes that I made, I want to help you avoid those mistakes. I want you to have a firm grasp on the right perspective for building a brand with meaning. And I want you to feel inspired, I want you to feel confident, and I want you to be ready to move forward on the journey of creating your life's work. So, what's the importance of a solid foundation? If the foundation isn't set right, no matter what you do afterwards, it will always be off in some way. The foundation for us in our journey building a brand is our mindset. If it's set the right way from the start, everything else will align. Absolutely no software knowledge, styles, AI tools, or ability to follow trends will ever matter if you don't have a solid foundation of who you are, what you care about, and why you do what you do. It doesn't matter. Without the right mindset, you won't be able to overcome the problems you will face. And you're going to face a lot of problems. At least if you're pursuing building a brand or pursuing a career that you're passionate about, you're going to, no matter what, face problems. You need to have the right mindset to overcome them. So here's a quote from one of my favorite quotes I've used throughout my career. I've embedded it in a lot of my designs. It says, up to a point, a person's life is shaped by environment, heredity, and the movements and changes in the world around them. Then there comes a time when it lies within their grasp to shape the clay of his life into the sort of thing he wishes to be. Only the weak blame parents, their race, their times, or lack of good fortune, or the quirks of fate. Everyone has it within his power to say, this I am today, that I will be tomorrow. So let's set it right. Trees that are slow to grow yield the best fruit. Building a brand is a choice of lifestyle. It isn't something that quickly comes, can be bought, but only earned through consistency, focus, and time. It's crucial that if you're starting a brand or if you're trying to build a brand with meaning, that you understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm sure you all know that it takes 10,000 hours to be a master of something. This applies to everything else too in your career. There's no secret trick. There's no easy way to get to the top. There's no overnight success. Your brand will be a direct reflection of who you are and what you care about. This is why it's really important that you know who you are. You have to know the things that you care about. You have to identify them. You need to be sure of that before taking one step forward. Otherwise, nothing else is going to make sense. Without the right mindset, you won't be able to overcome the tribulations you'll definitely experience. And it's really important you have a strong force field, which we'll talk about soon. Building a brand is a marathon, like I said, not a sprint. For most of us, time is the most valuable asset we have. Every day we must strive to add one more stone to our envisioned cathedral. Even if it's a small one, it's still an accomplishment, and you have to be easy on yourself. A lot of people, they have expectations, they're impatient, they look at others, they look at their peers, they look at people that they've already accomplished their goals, and they feel like they should be at that level. But what they don't see is the 10 years that it took them to get to that point. They've seen just the result of their work. They're not seeing the time it takes to work. So be easy on yourself. Spending time with yourself to dive into who you are will be one of the most important explorations of your brand. Authentic introspection allows for you to understand yourself, which ultimately allows you to openly express yourself. Spend some time breaking down your interests and daily habits. They dictate everything that surrounds you and everything that you're going to experience. Stoicism is a mindset. We're going to talk about Stoicism next. Stoicism is a mindset based on a set of observations about how the mind and world works. The Stoics argue that your thoughts and beliefs create the world you inhabit, not external circumstances, so you ought to take responsibility for your mind now, especially if you want to move forward and build a brand that's going to be judged by the world. Which leads us into the amateur versus the professional. If we want to build a brand with meaning, we must commit to being a professional and follow through until the very end. We got to make a decision right now. If you want to make a brand with meaning, if you want to offer something to the world, you have to commit to being a professional. You have to commit to following through every single day, and you have to understand what acting versus becoming is. I like to use the word acting versus becoming because it's really easy to see how others that have accomplished our goals act. It's really easy to observe how they talk. It's really easy to see how they carry themselves, but it's very difficult to become that thing. So what you see is what we look at people that hang out in groups. They can speak a certain lingo, they look a certain way, but when it comes down to it, they don't have the skill or the dedication or the consistency it takes to be the thing that they're looking like they are. So this is what acting versus becoming is. We have to take the time to become the thing so we can refine our own unique brand. We can have our own unique product. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2023, there's 204,000 graphic designers. And these are just people that are registered, that pay taxes as graphic designers. There's 30,000 fashion designers in the U.S., and these are people that pay taxes, so there's probably a lot more than that. 40,000 photographers, 30,000 video editors. The U.S. fashion market alone is 1.5 trillion U.S. dollars. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's a ton of people out there. What are you willing to do to stand out outside of this big ocean of people that are doing the exact same thing as you? How are you going to stand out? You're not going to do it by observing others, by trying to copy whatever the latest trends are, by trying to emulate whatever the latest looks are, by trying to go and look up design tutorials on YouTube and just make whatever's cool. It's not going to work. Also, I bring this up because there is a big market. The fashion industry is $1.5 trillion. There's enough for everybody. You don't have to worry that there's not enough room for you, or there's not enough business for you, or things are being taken up by other brands. People already did it. Those are just thoughts that are going to prevent you from moving forward. There's more than enough for everybody, so you got to start. Whenever you start, don't let that cross your mind that there's not enough. So what is the difference between an amateur and a professional? Let's break it down. Amateurs wait to feel inspired. Professionals stick to a schedule. Amateurs focus on goals. Professionals focus on habits, daily habits, small habits. We're just a result of everything we do. Small habits every single day that gets big results over a long period of time. Amateurs strive to achieve. Professionals strive to improve. Every single day, if you really focus on building your brand, living your authentic life, working as hard as you can, you're going to fall short. If at the end of the day you focus on improving what you can do, what can I do to be better? A year from now, 2 years from now, 5, you're going to see exponential gains. Amateurs stall after failure. Professionals grow after failure. What does this mean? It means that, I feel that the only way we can grow is through experiencing failure or experiencing shortcomings and overcoming our obstacles. A lot of people, when they get caught up by it, they think it's because they're not good enough or it's not meant for them, but this is actually an opportunity we should use to get better and to grow and to build success for our brand. Amateurs live for opinions. Professionals live for the truth. It doesn't matter what other people think. When you start living your authentic life, when you start making yourself vulnerable with your creativity, you're going to get a lot of judgment from others. You're going to get a lot of ridicule online. Maybe not ridicule, but there's going to be a lot of critical thoughts towards you because you're doing something special. You're doing something different. If what you were doing was safe, no one would care. They're going to give you praise all the time. You want to make something with what I call texture. Texture affects people. So expect, you can't really care about the opinions. You got to care about the truth. Which brings me to my first book recommendation, The Amateur versus the Professional. Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield. I don't know if you guys hung out with me for a while. I probably offered to give you this book. I'm going to read a couple quotes from him. They just stuck with me. It's two of my favorite quotes from this entire book. If you really want to get a fire lit under your butt, this is the book to do that. When we're living as amateurs, we're running away from our calling, meaning our work, our destiny, the obligation to become our truest and highest selves. Addiction becomes a surrogate for our calling. We enact the addiction instead of embracing the calling. Why? Because to follow a calling requires work, it's hard, it hurts, It demands entering the pain zone of effort, risk, and exposure. The amateur allows his worth and identity to be defined by others. The amateur craves third-party validation. The amateur is tyrannized by his imagined concept of what is expected of him. He is imprisoned by what he believes he ought to think, he ought to look, what he ought to do, and what he ought to be. Next, we're going to go to aligning the mind, having a strong force field. What is Stoicism? Your thoughts and beliefs create the world. Stoicism is your thoughts and beliefs create the world you inhabit, not external circumstances, so you ought to take responsibility for your mind. Stoicism is a practice of training your mind to no matter what, to expect problems, to view them as benefit. Whatever happens to you, you have the power to view and be affected by the situation that's happening. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you interpret what's happening to you. You can control how you feel. Stoicism is taking care of your emotions. You can simultaneously erase a lot of worries by letting go of what you can't control, like reputation, the actions of others, and caring too much about wealth. You can change your mind by taking a new perspective, like confronting death to appreciate life or reminding yourself how small you are in the grand scheme of the universe. Adversity and hardship are inevitable parts of life, and the only true times we grow or develop, they should be embraced. Everything is impermanent and constant flux, and so trying to grasp onto something as a lasting source of happiness just creates suffering. You should get to know yourself through careful and honest self-observation. Logical reasoning should serve as the basis for your choice and actions, leading to moderation, virtue, and ultimately the good life and fulfillment. Why is Stoicism important for building a brand? When you begin to create anything of value, it is guaranteed you'll experience obstacles. How they are handled will determine your growth or failure. Stoicism prepares us to embrace obstacles. Stoicism will allow us to handle falling short of our daily tasks or unforecasted tribulations. Even if you didn't finish what you planned, know you tried your best, and that's all you can do. This is still growth in the right direction. Tomorrow you'll come back stronger and refreshed. I can't push this enough. It's going to feel like you're in battle. If you're actually in there working, committing your heart and soul to your work, putting all of your energy into something, and it's not getting the results that you want, no one's buying your product, nobody's liking your Instagram posts or whatever social media you use, it's going to feel draining. You're going to think thoughts that you're not good enough. You're going to feel like you want to do other stuff and run away. Having a stoic mindset will help you handle this kind of stuff. Stoicism helps us focus on what's important to prevent water from leaking into our ship. Once we are able to express our authentic selves, this will generate reaction from the world. It's important we allow only enough into our thoughts to help us improve and not to hurt us. Which brings me to my second quote. Aligning the mind, having a strong force field. This is Magneto, by the way. He's one of the strongest X-Men, and he has a really strong force field. So that's why I had to put him on there. So here's one of my favorite quotes. It's a really super common one. It's probably it's in the front of a lot of these books that I'm going to recommend. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong another man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who who neither know victory nor defeat. Love that quote, dude. So, final part, what is my why? For people to connect with your brand, there needs to be something to directly connect with. A great place to start is understanding why you are doing this. When your why is crystallized, you speak directly instead of ambiguously. Ask yourself, what do I love about being a creative? What are some experiences from my past that have shaped who I am? Why do I create what I do? Who is it meant to affect? Do I want to build awareness? Do I want to make others feel a certain emotion? Why do I want to make them feel that emotion? Do I want others to take action? Why do I want them to take action? All of these answers are inside, And once they are at the surface of your thought and honestly accept it, you can authentically express yourself. So, what is my why? I cannot believe that this is another quote from Gary Keller. He's the author of the book, The One Thing. It's another book I'm going to recommend at the end of this. It says, I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be compassionate. It is above all to matter, to count, to stand for something, and to have some difference that you lived at all. This is my second book recommendation. It's called The One Thing. I'm going to read one of the best quotes. This quote stood up to me a lot. So success demands singleness of purpose. You need to be doing fewer things for more effect instead of doing more things with side effects. It is those who concentrate on but one thing at a time who advance in this world. Passion for something leads to disproportionate time practicing of working at it. That time spent eventually translates to skill, and when skill improves, results improve. Better results generally lead to more enjoyment and more passion and more time invested. It can be a virtuous cycle all the way to extraordinary results. The one thing shows up time and time again in the lives of the successful because it's a fundamental truth. More than anything else, expertise tracks with hours invested. The pursuit of mastery bears gifts. When people look back on their lives, it is the things they have not done that generate the greatest regret. People's actions may be troublesome initially. It is their inactions that plague them most with long-term feelings of regret. Make sure every day you do what matters most. When you know what matters most, everything makes sense. When you don't know what matters most, anything makes sense. The one thing is I think one of the most important things when you start moving forward with building of your brand. Here's why it's important. No matter what type of creative you are, there's going to be one thing that you have to do every single day that allows for everything else to fall into place. But a lot of people, the problem is they focus on all of these other things, and it doesn't matter because you can just do those other things. It doesn't move this forward. But what is that one thing that you do that you have to do every single day that if you don't do it, none of this stuff matters. But if you do it, all of these things will naturally fall into place. We have to identify what that one thing is and do that every single day. For me, it's graphic design. If I don't do graphic design, the marketing doesn't matter, the clothing doesn't matter, my social media doesn't matter. I have to make art every single day. The art will be translated into every other aspect of my business, and all of this will fall into place. It doesn't matter if I'm really good at marketing if I have nothing to market. It doesn't matter if I'm a great photographer if I have nothing to shoot. So let's do the final thoughts. Final thoughts to wrap up all the slides. Spending time to make sure your foundation is set right is required for everything else to fall into place. You got to figure out who you are. You got to figure out, why am I doing this? What's the point? What's my message? Really, really, really refine it. Write it down, study it. When you move forward, this will be the lifeline of your brand. This is what people will feel when they see your work. They're going to feel who you are. This is what they're going to gravitate towards. Invest time in introspection or looking within to understand what you care about. Understand the commitment and dedication required to building a brand with meaning. And do you want to be an amateur or a pro? You got to commit to it. Prepare your mindset for shortcomings, criticisms, and obstacles. When you can embrace them and continue through it all, or gracefully disregard it all, you'll see exponential progress and growth as a person in your brand. You got to have your mind right. You got to have a strong force field. And then finally, crystallize your why. Refine your one thing. What is the one thing you have to do where if you do it, everything else will fall into place? But without that one thing, nothing else matters. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. This is the 4 books I'm recommending. If you guys want to pick one up for the next class, they're all super, super short, easy reads. And these are the books that kind of changed my life when I was starting off my first design journey. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I wanted to set aside like a few minutes to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions to ask that revolve around this topic. I don't know how long did that take? That was 30 minutes. Cool.
That was
Cool. So anybody have any questions? No, pretty simple, huh? No questions. Cool, man. Well, dude, thanks for everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. If you guys want, we got some Happy Panda chocolates back there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what is your why? Why did you start? Why did you do how you doing what you're doing? What's the one thing that you think about every day?
So my why is I want to spread a message at a rapid rate across the world. Right now, the best way that I know to do it is through clothing. I want to spread a message that inspires others, and I want to spread a message that shows people that they're good enough and instills confidence in them. And my mechanism right now is through clothing. Maybe that will change. We'll see. But that's my why. Any other questions? Wow. Yeah, dude.
Do you incorporate that why into your clothing, into the style designs that you make?
Absolutely, yeah. I do it through messaging. There's a lot of subliminal messaging in our clothing. You know, our slogan right now is transformed in darkness to transform an era. And basically what that means is that we're all transformed through hard times. We all face difficult times. And if we persevere through them, then we have the ability to do powerful things. And so that's what our current slogan means. But if you look at all of the past stuff that we've done, it's all about empowering others. It's all about connecting with others. It's all about joining together to make this world a better place. Our past brand, Damascus, our slogans were ascend together, create with us. We are all connected. With Neophoric, it's we're divinely synthesized to prevail over chaos, transformed in darkness to transform an era. And so, yeah, I think you can kind of see that messaging through the brand. Oh, there's a lot of people chatting on there too.